Hey guys, welcome back to the College Predictor Week 10 college football predictions. And every game we're doing involves a ranked team. But because of that, I decided this week's shoutouts is going to be small school edition. We'll start off with the quarterback for the University of North Texas, Chandler Rogers, who threw for 411 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, they still lost at home against the Memphis Tigers 45-42. Now they're sitting at 3-5, but I still believe that if they could play good throughout the final stretch of the year, they could still potentially find themselves in a bowl game. Our next shout out goes to UMass, who is a huge shock. Their running back K'Ron Lynch Adams ran for 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, in their win against the University of Army, 21-14. This was their second win of the year. And, in fact, all their wins have been on the road, which is a weird stat. Our last small school shout-out goes to Gunnar Watson, the quarterback for Troy, who threw for 398 yards and 3 TDs in their 31-13 win against Texas State on the road. Troy is sitting at 7-2 right now. They're in a great position to make a high bowl game. And if it weren't for James Madison, they would be that one team that would be known in the Sun Belt, just like they were last year. Okay, let's get into our games now. Our first matchup is going to be between two Big 12 teams. In fact, this will be the last meeting of these two teams for a very long time. The University of Oklahoma versus the University of Oklahoma State. This is going to be the last known bedlam for a long time since Oklahoma's moving to the SEC next year. So this is going to be a huge rivalry game. I expect to be a huge atmosphere in Oklahoma State. Oklahoma, they just came off the loss to Kansas. It dropped them to 9 in the playoff rankings. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State jumped up to 22. And it would be nice, more of an Oklahoma fan than an Oklahoma State fan if this game was in Norman. Because, the last ever bedlam, it advantages one team more than the other. But besides that, this should be a great game. I expect Dylan Gabriel to turn it around. Last game he had 3 rushing touchdowns, so through the air he was kind of quiet. But the concern for Oklahoma was their run defense against Kansas. I mean, Devin Neal's a great running back for the University of Kansas, but Oklahoma State has Ole Gordon, the third. He's a Heisman candidate for now. He's actually sitting at 9th highest odds. Back-to-back weeks with plus 200 yards and 2+ touchdowns. He's been popping off for Oklahoma State. Now, I do like Oklahoma better. It's going to be a very offensive game because both these teams' defenses aren't necessarily heard compared to their offenses. So I expect this to be a high-scoring game. I think whichever team could get a couple defensive stops first will get momentum and end up winning this game. And it's going to be close. I don't know about Oklahoma. If they lose to Kansas and they almost lose to UCF, I don't know if I could trust them against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma is a 6-point favorite, and I am going to pick them to win this game by a field goal, last-second field goal. I think this should be a really good game. Let's go to our next game between two SEC schools. 12th-ranked Missouri, who came out of nowhere at the start of the year, and hold on, am I reading my paper? Hold on, I need to see my number 2 Georgia. They're not number 1 anymore. The streak is over. Georgia, no more number 1. Ohio State took that throne. Now that Georgia's the number 2 team in the nation, they seem more beatable. And Missouri is a very good team to win. I think Missouri, their one loss was to LSU, and it was at home, but I still think LSU is an incredibly tough opponent. So, I don't know. Missouri, they have great talent. Brady Cook is a great quarterback. He has plenty of players to throw to, but the number 1 is Luther Burden. He's been cooking it up for the Missouri Tigers. And Georgia, on the other hand, their offense has been more loud than their defense, in my opinion, this year. The first game I really saw their defense show up was against Auburn, where they would have lost if it weren't for them. And Carson Beck's been having a great year, filling the shoes of Stetson Bennett. But no Brock Bowers. That's been the number 1 target for the Bulldogs the last few years. And it sucks for them because that could really end up hurting them. Carson Beck, he could struggle without him, but I think he'll be just fine. Even though Brock Bowers is hurt, they have a great set of tight ends, very solid set of wide receivers. Their offense is still great. Their defense should perform good. And how much I would love Missouri to win this game, I just think they can't. They're 15.5 point underdogs. Georgia at home is going to win this game by 14. Let's go to our next game. Two Pac-12 teams. The number 5 ranked Washington Huskies, who's been a very scary team recently, against the USC Trojans. Hold on, the face mask fell off. Let's talk about Washington first. Washington, they have not looked good this last year. They have not looked good at all whatsoever. I mean, they nearly lost to Arizona State, and Stanford could have beat them if they just remembered how to catch a ball. And I think that is not good for Washington. I mean, USC is a better team than both Stanford and Arizona State. They have better talent. So I don't know. I can't trust Washington as much in this game. Now, Michael Penix, he has not been playing the best recently. I mean, he's been throwing a lot of interceptions inconsistently recently. He's thrown 3 in his last 2 games, which is not Michael Penix-like. And on the road, USC's home atmosphere shouldn't help them that much. But I think the man, number 13 in Burgundy, Caleb Williams, should. I mean, he has great receivers to throw to. I mean, his top 3 are Dorian Singer, Mario Williams, and Brendan Rice. I mean, you cannot ask for a better core. Maybe Ohio State's core, but this is Pac-12 football. And on the other hand, it's Roma Odunze, Michael Penix. And it doesn't seem like they would have more talent, but they do. We'll start off on their defense, where they have Braylon Trice, who needs to have a good game against USC. Their offensive line is very good, but unheard of, almost. And I think because USC's defense is so bad, it's going to be the offense for Washington to give them a chance. Roma Odunze is their number 1. He has almost 1,000 yards on this season, but their number 2 is Jalen Pork. He's been a very great receiver recently, and I expect him to keep it up. He could be big. While they're worrying about Roma Odunze, they might use him a lot in this game. And I feel like USC might upset this game, but just because I absolutely dislike them the most, I'm picking Washington to win this game by 7 as a 3-point favorite on the road. All right, next game. A bit of a rivalry, you could say. Notre Dame Irish and the Clemson Tigers. Now, we'll start with Notre Dame. 15th-ranked Notre Dame. I mean, they're good. We know they're a talented team, but they're not they can't make the playoffs anymore. I feel like Notre Dame, they're good, but they're not expectation-wise, because people always think Notre Dame is a good team. They're a playoff team. Their schedule just ends up being way too hard every time. I mean, we see them lose to Louisville. That kind of cost them their year. They almost slipped to Duke, but then their other loss was to Ohio State. So they have a great resume, which could help them get into a big bowl game. Meanwhile, Clemson's resume is interesting because they're 4-4 and they're on the path to not even make a bowl. I mean, if we look at their losses, Duke, which at the time we didn't know was good. Florida State, we knew was good. Syracuse, they're pretty good. Wake Forest, they only scored 17 points against, and they lose to Miami and NC State. And their 2 other wins were against FAU and Charleston State. Clemson is just not a good team, and I don't know if I can expect them to win 2 of their next 4 games. I'm expecting them to lose this game against Notre Dame, which already gives my prediction. I think Notre Dame's going to win this game by 14 on the road as 3-point favorites. I don't think they can beat Carolina, and I don't think they can beat South Carolina in the rivalry game. I'm going to say Clemson doesn't make a bowl game, but the bigger point, Sam Hartman and Notre Dame win this game by 14 as 3-point favorites on the road. All right, let's go to our next game between 2 ranked Big 12 teams. The newly ranked 23rd Kansas State Wildcats and the 7th ranked Texas Longhorns. Now, this game should be good. I expect it to be good. It is in Texas, though, so that kind of hurts Kansas State's chances a lot. And if we're speaking of this game, Texas has great defense, and Kansas State likes to run the ball. but they don't have Deuce Vaughn anymore. And this game, I love how this game could end up just because I went to this game last year. Here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but oh no, you can. This is a couple pictures of that game, and here's Deuce Vaughn. So I think we really need this end up to be a good game because Kansas State, I mean, I really hope they could do good. And by the way, Texas, if they could win out, they'll have by far the best resume in college football. And I think Texas, they're going to end up winning this game. Although I am shocked that they're only 3.5-point favorites at home. They're going to win this game by 17. Also, I'm a great photographer, right? My photography is amazing. All right, let's go to our next game. A big rivalry in the SEC, LSU at Alabama. I think Alabama is a very underrated team that's overrated. That sounds weird to say, but they are. I can't tell if this team's good or bad, but I will say this. One loss to the 7th-ranked team in the nation. People think Alabama sucks. I mean, they have inconsistent quarterback play, and LSU has consistent quarterback play. Better wide receivers, LSU. Better offense, LSU. Better defense, Alabama. The winner of this game will most likely be the favorite to make it to the SEC championship. I mean, Ole Miss is up there too, but besides them, it's these two teams. This game could very easily decide the SEC and who will face either Georgia or Missouri. Who will win between this 14 versus 8 game? At home, Bama's hard to pick against. Nick Saban's hard to pick against. 3-point favorites. Alabama win this game by 1. It's going to be very similar to last year. All right, let's go to Oregon State versus Colorado. Now, Oregon State, 2 years ago, no one thought of them. Now they're the 16th team in the nation. Colorado, meanwhile, are a Clemson. Meanwhile, they're 4-4. And if we look at Oregon State's losses, they were to Arizona and Washington State, so they don't have a good resume. When they did lose to Washington State, they were ranked, though. And this game should be tough at Colorado. And if we look at Colorado, they have talent still, and Travis Hunter will be back, which really helps them. Shedeur Sanders, I think he should have a good game. These are two very good quarterbacks, DJ Uiagalelei, Shedeur Sanders. Two very good running backs, Damian Martinez, and a really young running back, Dylan Edwards. He hasn't been having a great year, but he has talent. And then two good wide receivers, Xavier Weaver, and on the other side, Oregon State, Silas Bolden, who's a speed threat. Now, I do like Colorado, and at home, this should help them. Matchup Predictor says 80.2% chance for Oregon State to win this game. I agree with them. Oregon State, 13-point favorites, win this game by 7. Actually, by 9. Well, I take that back. By 9. Our last game between the UCLA Bruins and the very underrated Arizona Wildcats. UCLA is now ranked 19th in the nation, which is good for them because after the first couple weeks, their quarterback play was inconsistent and they weren't considered good. Now they're 6-2. They're sitting at a great spot right now. Arizona's 5-3, and they're a good team. Because if we look at how their losses have looked and how their wins have looked, it shows us a new Arizona. We saw them lose in triple overtime on the road to USC. They beat Stanford. They only lost to Washington by 7, and their other loss was at Mississippi State, an SEC school on the road, never easy. We saw them beat 11th ranked Oregon State, 19th ranked Washington State at the time. So they're good at taking down middle of the rank Pac-12 teams, and I think they're going to do it again today. Arizona, 2.5-point underdogs, win this game by a field goal, second field rush in a row. All right, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for next week and the week after, where I will be filming from Knoxville, Tennessee. And the following week after that, I'll do a two video special from Starksville, Mississippi and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So if you're interested in seeing those, I'll be filming the games. I'll be filming my annual videos. And until then, see you later.